Welcome back to the Monday Muse. I want to talk about a way of making decisions that has completely changed my life, and it might change everything for you too. First, let me ask you, how do you make decisions? Most of us say this very thing: I need to think about it more. And I'm not saying that that's a bad way, but it's important to know that your intellectual complex is the slowest, dumbest part of you, if you can believe that. But if you're like most high achieving people, you're probably gathering information and you're weighing pros and cons and you're seeking multiple opinions and you're analyzing every possible outcome. And oftentimes, though, you're still feeling uncertain about the decision that you made. Or maybe, I do this sometimes too, you just make a decision quickly to avoid the discomfort of feeling uncomfortable or to avoid anybody else going haywire. But then you second guess yourself constantly after that too. Or some people will completely avoid making decisions because it feels too high risk, too much potential for conflict, and people are terrified of making the wrong choice. I do that often when I'm creating content, actually, now that I think about it. I'm sort of in the middle of that right now, actually. I will just debate and debate and debate, and I won't take an action on choosing what I'm going to talk about. My goodness. Okay, at the end of this, I'm going to take my own advice. See, I just caught myself in the middle of sophisticated sleepwalking. Anyway, if any of this sounds familiar, I want to share a completely different way to make decisions. And it's a way that you can feel deeply rooted and good about the decision you made, even if other people don't. But first, let's talk about what this kind of decision making is not. It's not being impulsive without considering other people's needs. That is not what it is. It's not ignoring the practical considerations or consequences of what might happen. And it's not some mystical process where you just trust the universe is going to provide. Deeply rooted decision making is about accessing a place inside yourself where there is the deepest wisdom and making choices from that place. You may not have all of the information in your mind, technically, and other people may be disagreeing with your choice, and you may even be scared about it. But it's about making a decision from a much more awake place inside you, not from fear and not from ego and not from people pleasing. So let me give you an example. Like many years ago, I left our family business and it was not popular. I did it because I knew that I was not living authentically with what my natural gifts are and what lights my life on fire. You know, my favorite quote in the world is, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people to come alive. And I knew that it took a while, that I just wasn't coming alive. And I was going to have to leave my husband's business and go back to doing what I love doing, which is helping people remember who they are, whether that's on a stage or in a group or in one-to-one coaching. And it didn't really make any sense because we worked very well together. The business had grown. We were doing great. I loved our clients. It really didn't make any sense why I wanted to do it, but it was something that just was inside me that I just knew something was wrong. And I tried everything. I tried everything to figure out what was wrong because I didn't even know. I joined a chorus. I looked into taking acting classes. I thought maybe I need a hobby. And it just kind of kept coming back to this sense of something not being right. And I had no idea whether it would work. And my husband had no idea how he was going to do without me in the business. And he wasn't in favor of it. And I didn't do it one day and then just walk away. We had a long conversation, many, many long conversations about it. But I had to keep with it because I knew that something just wasn't right for me. And if I had made that decision just from my ego, I honestly would have stayed because I didn't want him to be upset with me. I didn't want to let anybody down. It didn't make any sense. And it was terrifying. I did not know if I was going to be able to create the business that I wanted to create. So if I made it from fear, I also would have stayed because I was terrified. But I made it from that more awakened place, ultimately, from that deep place of knowing who I am and what I'm here to do. And it changed everything. And I wish that I had done it a lot sooner and I hadn't gone through everything that I went through to get there. I mean, I don't know if I would say I wish I had done it sooner, but I guess I wish I would have known sooner how to plug into that deep place because I did spend a couple of years doing all kinds of extracurricular activities trying to fill a void that I didn't realize was really there. It doesn't actually mean that I would have left the office sooner. It just would have meant that maybe I would have been in the know more and it would have been able to happen in a more relaxed nature. So the first step to this process that goes much quicker now is to really get clear on what it is you actually want, not what you think everybody else wants. And this can be hard because sometimes we can give lip service to what we know that we want, but it's not landing with us. It's not really like, shoot, yeah, I don't want this relationship. Or yeah, this employee really is not good on our team, or whatever it is. Like, we can know it in the back of our head, but it doesn't really get to the front of our mind where it's completely conscious. Like, oh, this is what I want, and this isn't it where I'm at right now. So that's why it sounds a lot more simple than it really is, because we are so conditioned to be looking out for other people's needs and their expectations and who we think we should be and their opinions, that we've really lost touch with the right to be ourselves and to have our own needs. So before you can make a decision from this awake state, you have to really be honest about what it is that you really want, not what would look good or make other people happy, and not even what would be the quote smart choice, but what do you actually want? And honestly, for the longest time, manifesting things was really hard for me because I was afraid to admit what I really wanted, because the next thought was, but what if I don't get it? And I was so conditioned, and I am so conditioned to fear that if I don't get what I wanted and I tried to manifest it, and I know all about manifesting, and it didn't come true, oh my God, then I'm a disaster. I'm a loser. I'm a fraud. So my mind can sometimes say, oh, well, we don't really know what we want. That's not the truth. We always know what we want, even if we're not really aware of it. We know. There's somewhere in my body knows what it wants. It's just afraid maybe to get clear on it, because what happens if it doesn't happen? And the answer is, so what if it doesn't happen? So what? Okay, so the first thing is to get clear on what you want. And you actually might need to engage in step 2 before you can even do step 1, because step 2 is check in with your body, not just your mind. So your mind is great at analyzing information. It's great at going through all those pros and cons, but it is terrible at making decisions. I mean, it'll make a decision, but then your body's going to doubt the decision. And it can go in circles forever and ever and ever, weighing pros and cons, considering every possible scenario. But your body, on the other hand, knows. It can feel when something is right or wrong. Maybe you feel it in your abdomen, maybe you feel it in your third center, maybe you feel it in your fourth center, in your chest. There's a tightness. Maybe you feel it clogging up in your throat. Your body knows. And it can sense when you're moving towards something that feels aligned, or when you're moving towards something that does not feel aligned. So when you're making a decision, don't just think about it. Feel into it. Raise each option in your mind and tap into the different centers of your body and see if you get an answer. If you close your eyes and you really ask your body, hey, how does this feel? You'll get an answer. It might be a twinge, or it might be just a complete calm. You will know the difference. And look at, where do you feel the expansion? Where do you feel the contraction? And then step 3, okay, consider the practical factors of the decision, but don't let them override your inner knowing. They may dictate how you make the decision, the way in which you talk about the decision, the timeline of the decision, but they don't have to override your inner knowing. Money matters, time matters, people matter. But if you are not living according to your inner knowing, you're going to regret that. Because what I've learned is that when you can make decisions from that place, all of the practical things fall into place. And not only that, but you actually behave much more graciously and openly and kindly to the people who your decision affects. And when you are accessing your decisions from that place, you have more access to creativity and energy, and you have more resources to deal with whatever the fallout is from what the decision might be. When you force yourself to do something that's not right for you, you're going to feel depleted. You're going to feel resentful. You're going to feel exhausted and impatient and irritated, and you might not even know why. You might not even realize that the whole reason was because you made a decision that was not in alignment. And this is where most people get stuck. They make a decision and then they keep second guessing themselves. And they have this whole insecurity spiral. They keep looking for evidence that they made the right decision, or they keep looking for evidence that they made the wrong choice. I remember when my kids were little, I have one kid who would go in and he could make a decision just like that. Oh, I like that. And my other son would just sit there and just hem and haw, like we'd give him $20 or whatever to get one toy. Oh my God. It was like it was the last time he was ever going to buy a toy. And that's how I felt in my younger years too. If I went on vacation, oh my God, I'll never have the money again. And everything had to be absolutely perfect. It's a debilitating way to make a decision. And then as soon as you do, you're looking for all the reasons why you made the wrong choice and you're doubting yourself. You know, one of the greatest things that I learned, I read Mike Dooley's book years ago, Infinite Possibilities. And he talks about manifesting. And so when you are manifesting something, if you are trying to manifest it, and then all of a sudden the next thing you do is you're looking for it, you're looking for the evidence of it, then you don't actually believe that it's coming. And so you're sending the wrong message to the universe. And so the analogy that he used was, he said, like, listen, when you order furniture, you've made a decision to order furniture, you place your order, you know the furniture is coming. Do you keep looking to buy new furniture to replace that furniture? You don't, because you know it's coming. You know it is on its way. And this is what happens when you make decisions just from your mind. You keep getting stuck. You keep seeking reassurance from other people or wondering if it was right or wrong. When you make a decision from that deeper knowing, that doesn't happen. You put your full energy behind it and you trust that even if it doesn't work out exactly the way you expected, you knew you had to do it that way anyway because your body told you there was going to be something valuable, even if you have to correct course down the road. And then step 5, take responsibility for whatever the outcome is. Because here's the thing, whatever the outcome is, there's going to be learning involved if you choose to look at what you're learning. Any setback that you have, anything that goes wrong as a result of a decision that you make, great news. That's information that you now have to not make that same mistake again. This is an evolution we're dealing with here with our lives. We are evolving through life. We're not supposed to have all the answers. We're not supposed to do everything perfectly. We're not supposed to know what's right. In fact, to know what's right is, at this point, it's arrogance, right? Because there's so many things that are going on, and what's right for me is not what's right for you. So this is about being able to take responsibility for the choice that you made with yourself, with anybody else. And then whatever happens, being able to say, what did I learn there? And trusting that it probably was the right choice anyway, because you needed to learn whatever you learned from having made that decision in the first place. When you do this, you're not guaranteed that your decision is going to work out perfectly. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to make the perfect decision. We're trying to make the most aligned decision with who we are in that moment for that purpose, to the best of our ability with the knowledge that we have in that moment. But the great news is that you are guaranteed that you'll be able to handle whatever happens because you made the decision from your authentic power. So let's say you're making a decision to decide on a new job. The traditional approach would be to make a list of pros and cons, to research the company, which are all good things to do, to network and try to predict all of the possible outcomes. The approach that I'm talking about would be to get really clear on what you want from the job, from the career, from the person, if we want to talk about it that way, not what you think you should want. This is really important. I think we're so conditioned to go toward what we're supposed to want, what success looks like on paper, that we don't stop and think about what we actually want. And then feel how each situation sits within your body. Does this job or this person maybe that you're going to be with feel expansive or does it feel contracting? Does staying in your current situation feel aligned or forced? And you'll still consider all the practical factors. The salary, the benefits, the growth opportunities, the impact on your family or yourself. But you wouldn't let those factors override your inner knowing. Sometimes we say things like, well, we can't just live on, fruits and berries and nature. Yeah, that's true. But we also can't just go through life ignoring what it is that we really want and need in this world. We only are here this time around. And so you want to make a decision from that place of deeper knowing and commit to it fully, trusting that it's all going to work out. And you don't keep searching for furniture. You don't keep looking, oh my God, what if it didn't work out? What if? You don't keep doing that. So think of a decision that maybe you're currently facing. It doesn't have to be a huge life decision. It could be something really small. And instead of jumping immediately into analysis mode, start by asking, what do I actually want? Not what I should want, not what looks good, not what would make other people happy. What do I actually want? And then feel into it. And what does your body tell you about each option that you have? Because this is what I've learned, and this is a really big point. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your decisions, and the quality of your decisions is determined by the state you make them from. When you make your decisions from a state of when your nervous system is out of whack, meaning you're concerned about what people think, you're worried about who you should be, blah, 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 all the things, rather than making a decision from a place of a very calm inner knowing, it's not going to be a good thing. You're going to second guess yourself. When you make your decision from your authentic power, everything changes. Your confidence increases because you have a knowing inside of you, and your energy increases because you're not forcing things to be right for you that aren't right for you. And your results improve because you're operating from alignment instead of resistance. So you're gliding along instead of This is the advantage of living your life from an awakened state instead of from sophisticated sleepwalking, aka survival. But for now, practice making small decisions. Start asking yourself what you actually want and start feeling into those choices instead of just thinking about them. If this was helpful, please leave a review on the podcast. This means so much to the algorithm and how other people access this podcast. Have a great week.